I've lived in the neighborhood for my whole life. So I'm 66, so that's how long. Probably two, or two before me. So it'll be three. And my sons lived here, so I guess and my grandkids, so we're up to like 5 probably. In this house, no, but before I was married, I lived on 23rd Street, so I only moved 1/2 block around the corner. I have worked in town, so I've worked at like 16th and Arch, Broad and Arch, the Bell Telephone Buildings, 16th and Arch, I guess, yeah. When I worked for the phone company, which is now Verizon. Generally, it's a pretty mixed neighborhood. Probably there would be percentages go a little bit maybe to lawyers. This was always a pretty stable neighborhood. It was, as in my memory, it's about the same. There was always families, there was always kids, and the kids grew up, in the neighborhood and went to school. Probably the difference is maybe most people went to school right close by, whereas now kids go all over the place to school. One of the places that really figures in my memory is Fiddler Square, and the neighborhood's now, like real estate people call it Fiddler Square. We didn't. I guess we always just called it Center City. The neighborhood a little bit further west is called Schuylkill, but we weren't actually we were kind of on the very edge of Schuylkill on 23rd Street, so we just called it Center City. Probably the memory is playing in Fiddler Square, and then having my kids do the same thing, like play in Fiddler Square, and then my grandkids playing in Fiddler Square. So it's kind of, I guess that's kind of a tying theme to like the years that I've been here. Hotspots? There weren't any hotspots. There was a drugstore on the corner of 22nd and Pine, and you could actually have lunch there, a lunch counter. So you could have lunch there, and I guess guys used to hang out in front of the drugstore. Because I went to high school in South Philadelphia, so I kind of hung out down in South Philadelphia, not here. Well, the drugstore, and there was corner stores. Where the restaurant is at 23rd and Lombard was a corner store, a grocery store, and butchers. There were only delis. There was the drugstore. There was dry cleaning. There was always a supermarket at 23rd and South. It had many different names over the years, but there was always a supermarket there as long as I know. So we always had a small supermarket here. It's generally friendly, yeah. I think so. It's like a small town in the middle on the edge of the city. So yeah, people know each other still, even though you would think like people who live in town don't know their neighbors. And it's not true. It was working class, not primarily lawyers or, like I said, what I would think to be now, more gentrified now. No, it was originally a Irish, like west of us was a very Irish neighborhood. Schuylkill was a very Irish neighborhood. My background is Irish. There was Jewish, there was other things, but everybody kind of kept in their own group of people and didn't mingle too much. As far as I know I didn't. But I was always friendly and you know, nice neighbors and people who talked to you and people who looked out for you when you were young, that kind of stuff. Got in your business, I guess. There were probably always a mix of small businesses, people who probably had businesses at home that you really didn't know about in that way. I don't think there's any more big companies moving in, or it might have been a bit more residential than it is now, because I say there really weren't like the restaurants around that there are now, like commercial restaurants. So in that way, yeah, but I don't consider that a bad thing. Probably was in the 50s. When I grew up on 23rd Street, there were no houses here other than the houses where I live right now, Crossky Street. These houses were built in 1863, so these little houses were here for a long time. But there were no houses across the street. I mean, I could look all the way to 23rd Street from here. In fact, I played in that empty lot. So I'd say somewhere, I know those houses were built in the 50s sometime. So that's when a lot of the neighborhoods started to change and houses were done over and different people moved in. And those people were still called new people, even though they might have lived here since the 50s. Still has maintained the same kind of flavor, and there's still a mix of different types of people who live here. I think it's still a great place to live.